Raise your hand if you play video games or know someone who does. Now be honest, raise your hand if you think nothing real is being accomplished in those hours spent gaming. What if I told you that games aren't a waste of time? They're a training ground for resilience, creative problem solving, and collaboration. The truth is this: gamers are skilled at something that matters. They are super empowered, hopeful individuals. The only problem is they believe they're only capable of changing virtual worlds, but not the real world. That's the next step. That next step is what I set out to explore with my project. I was inspired when I came across a TED Talk by game designer Jane McGonigal. What really stuck with me was her theory that channeling gamers' skills to the right type of games could help solve real-world problems. At the Institute for the Future, she figured out exactly what those skills are. First, urgent optimism, the desire to tackle a challenge and believe you have a reasonable chance of success. Second, social fabric. Gamers trust in other players to cooperate, which builds stronger and more meaningful relationships. Third, blissful productivity. Humans are optimized for feeling best when doing hard and meaningful work. Fourth, epic meaning. Everyone loves being a part of an awe-inspiring story. This sparked an idea in me. I could design a game that would harness those characteristics of gamers to make a difference in our world. So I asked myself, what's a real-world problem I want to help tackle? I decided on ocean pollution, one of the biggest threats to humanity and our planet. According to the UN Environmental Program, over 8 million tons of plastic enters our oceans each year. Coral reefs, one of the world's most biodiverse ecosystems, are getting destroyed, and harmful chemicals are dumped into our oceans each day. It's time for a change. But what will happen if no change is made? Well, as shown by this graph made by Pew.org, if no change is made by 2040, the plastics in our oceans will triple. And if no change is made by 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in our oceans. So I got right to work on designing a game that can make a difference in our oceans, Seachange. Seachange is an adventure game where you hop into your submarine and traverse through underwater levels while picking up trash, running from danger, and answering quiz questions. And there's a real-world component of beach cleanups. I organized all of this into a storyboard. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a single document that maps out the entire game design from start to finish. This is a small bit of my final storyboard. Then I started creating my prototype, because creating the full complex game would have been near impossible for me as a middle school student to do, but this prototype would still showcase my ideas and introduce me to the world of coding. But even with my dad mentoring me, the coding was challenging. Everything I did seemed to lead to an error. Even simply understanding what everything meant was like learning a new language. But in the end, I was able to make a working game. This is what I made by myself coding on Python. But as the months went by, progress was still slow. Until one day, my mom showed me an article about AI was being used in coding. So I got right to work on experimenting. At first, I gave it simple tasks, like changing the color of an object. I was amazed by how perfectly and quickly it could do what I asked and more. So I started giving it more and more complex things to code. I was shocked. It could complete complex lines of codes in minutes, something that would have taken me weeks to do by myself. And with my prototype progressing so much with the AI, and as I kept on deepening my research, I kept on going back to my storyboard with more and better ideas. This is a mind map version of my final storyboard. And in the end, with AI, I was able to make a prototype that I'm happy with. Here's one of the underwater levels where you pick up trash in. Every time you pick up trash, you have to answer a quiz question to continue, all while wasting time with a depleting oxygen supply. But my game doesn't just stop at the ocean. There's a real-world component. Every time you upload a picture of you completing a beach cleanup, you earn gold coins, which you can spend on secret levels and new submarines. This is a picture of me collecting trash to upload to my game. But in the end, my project was more than just helping the ocean, or learning game design, or even coding. It helped me grow as a person by helping me realize that making a difference doesn't have to be something hard, boring, or even difficult. It could actually be the opposite, like with the amazing skills gamers are developing while doing something considered a waste of time. In the end, my project was going through many stages of game design and creation to learn how to harness my passion for games to help the real world. And this project also opened my eyes to something bigger. AI advancing in coding is allowing young people like me to create games without the need of traditional coding skills, which allows more and more people to help their local communities and problems they care about through games. Now, I hope that everyone who said nothing real is being accomplished in those hours spent gaming now know they're training real world changing skills. All we need to do is harness them. And if we can, I think changing the world could be as easy as completing a game. I would like to say thank you to all my teachers, but especially Ibu Angie, Pak Dan, and Ibu Jules. My Also my speech mentor Pak Ed, my mom for always pushing me to try my hardest, my dad who I would never been able to create a game without, and lastly everyone who's listening to my speech here today and will think differently about games in the future. Thank you.